Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly subscribe to our channel if you're watching for the first time. For those who follow this channel, you know that we have a patient at home and I'm really paying close attention to her because it's really demanding. That's the reason why I've not really found sufficient time to do more videos. There are complications. She's recovering, but there are complications. Things to do with burns are really complicated. When I go to the hospital, I'm told this has come up. But we thank God she's recovering and we hope she'll be well soon. Now, William Samoei Ruto is a president under siege because it seems like Kenyans gave him a grace period, but that grace period is over. Immediately, people came out from the August polls. It was very clear that the Azimio followers did not welcome his announcement as the winner of the August elections, and to date, Raila Odinga has continued to say that William Ruto is a beneficiary of election malpractice. But then, those who voted for William Ruto really defended him, and they said that William Ruto won the August polls fair and square. And when Raila led the street protest that William Ruto must vacate office, and he really demanded that the cost of living must come down, those who voted for him defended him and they saw Raila Odinga as a bother. Together they rallied and said that Raila wanted to topple a government that they elected. But gradually I have seen those who elected or those who voted for William Ruto making a U-turn, and they are coming in public to protest against this government. At first I saw voters from Mount Kenya coming out in the full glare of camera and saying that William Ruto is a non-performer because almost everything that he promised Kenyans, he is unable to implement them. And then I can now see members from the Rift Valley, those who voted William Ruto in because he was their man, and I believe he's still their man. You will understand that the Kenyan politics is pegged on ethnicity, and when people go to the polls, they don't look at the policies, the foreign policies, economic policies, the social policies, development program and agenda. What they look at is the region. If that man comes from your region, then you will easily vote him in. And that is why we continue to suffer, because we don't want to know as long as that person comes from your area. And so I have seen this viral video of Nandi residents coming out very bitterly and protesting that William Ruto is increasing taxes, and William Ruto continues to sit back as the cost of living skyrockets to a level that the common man cannot reach, the hustler.
Bottom up, unasikia sasa wanataka ku raise taxes ya VAT. Saa hii wanataka kukata mishahara ya watu wananunua mortgage. Saa zingine wanasema sijui wanataka kupeleka kwa NSSF. Sasa sisi tutapona wapi? Sasa hii maneno yenye wanasema bottom up ni gani? Sasa uchumi imeenda juu. Kila kitu tunasikia uchungu sana hapa. Na tunasema tuko na mtu yetu ambaye anaongoza. Kumbe ilikuwa namna hii. Ukituambia ya kwamba vitu zenye itasomwa budget hivi karibuni itaenda juu. Itaenda juu, alafu tutanunua vitu na nini? Saa hii kulipa school fees ni tabu. Kununua sukari ni tabu. Kununua kila kitu ni tabu. Saa hii hakuna mahindi Kenya na hakuna ajira. Hakuna, hata vile wanasema hata mahindi imekuja Kenya hakuna. Sasa tunataka uchumi ikuje chini mahali penye tulikuwa. Afadhali hata wakati ule tulikuwa mahali penye ilikuwa ukaweza kununua chakula. Lakini saa hii huwezi. Hii watu wanalala njaa. Na ni sababu ya pesa yenye hakuna. Na mimi nafikiria sasa hapo ndio uchumi imeenda juu zaidi. Ukiona wakulima hawana pesa, wafanya biashara hawana pesa, sasa unataka kuniambia hii uchumi iko kweli mzuri? Hii uchumi iko mbovu. Tunataka uchumi ikuje chini kwa wananchi ili tuende nao pamoja. Wasituambie maneno mengine. Sasa sitaumia na sitakaa, lazima wajue ya kwamba hata mimi niko na njaa. Na nikiwa na njaa usiniambia nyamaza ati kwa sababu ni mtu wenu. Hapana, tunasema ya kwamba tunataka sisi tuendelee mbele. Na kama hii ndio maneno yenye wanasema ni mtu yetu, hapana, sisi tunakataa.
Unasikia mafuta wanataka waongeze kwa 200. Maiti ni 200. Kila kitu ni 200, sukari 200. Sasa hiyo uchumi gani? Tumechagua serikali yetu hii, watatusaidia kivipi namna gani?
Lakini kama watapandisha mafuta ni kama wanatuumiza sisi wananchi ambao sisi wote ni wararahoi. Inekana kwamba hii serikali sana sana inaangalia wakubwa, na tungeomba kwa sababu sisi ndio wenye nchi, tunaomba sana sana watuangalie upande wa mafuta. Mimi upande wangu naangalia mafuta, kwa sababu wakipandisha mafuta hapo ni kila kitu tapanda juu. Lazima tuambizane ukweli. Kwa hiyo aangalie, waziri aangalie mambo ya mafuta.
Uchumi imekuwa juu, masiwa sae.
William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua, at the heart and at the center of their campaigns just before the August polls, they had hoodwinked Kenyans that they were coming up with an economic model that was in direct contrast to that which had been there before, because they claimed that since independence the economic model had been that which only supports those who are on top of the economic pyramid. Wale mabwenyenye, he called them the dynasties, the rich. But he said that when he gets to power, he would develop an economic program that will benefit those who are at the bottom of the economic pyramid, and they call it the bottom-up economy. The author and the defender of it is David Nandi. And the hustlers voted for William Ruto overwhelmingly, knowing very well that he represented change. And I remember he crafted this campaign, Mama Mboga, Mutu wa Boda Boda. He really quoted those we really feel are at the bottom of the economic pyramid. But now things are changing, because in Parliament there is a bill that seeks to increase VAT on fuel, and you all know it doesn't need rocket science that whenever you increase the cost of fuel, then you increase the cost of everything, because increment of the cost of fuel will really result in increment of the to the cost of production. And economists have taken issues with this, but William Ruto defends it. So the Nandi residents, I believe, is just a tip of an iceberg. They represent many of the Ruto followers who are now regretting why they voted in this administration. But when I see them going to the streets, sometimes you feel like you don't want to sympathize or empathize with them. Because when we went to the polls, we were presented with the two options. One was a regime that was coming to pile more burden on Kenyans, and the other had made it very clear that they had an economic plan. William Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga were on the ballot. Of course, I'm not forgetting people like Wajakoya and Mwaure, but the two horses were Raila Odinga and William Ruto. We had seen the Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate lying in public. He could go and quote wrong Bibles, wrong verses. And we knew very well that Ruto was and is still a cunning man. But he traversed the whole country, convincing and persuading his followers that he was the best man for them. And so they rejected the Azimio and voted William Ruto. It reminds me of the story in the Bible where Barnabas was released and Jesus was crucified. When they were presented with this question between Jesus Christ and Barnabas, who do you want us to crucify and who do you want us to release? And the people shouted on top of their voices that they wanted Jesus to be crucified. It is the same thing that we did. We really shouted on the election day that you wanted William Samuel Ruto. Today, they regret, and that is why I'm saying that I feel no sympathy for those who voted on tribal lines, without looking at the genuinity of what they were being presented with. Just going to the streets to protest does not really help. Kenyans need to wake up and find a permanent solution to our problems. And the only solution here is to compel the government to do just two things. Either of this. One is to compel the government to implement all the pre-election promises that they gave. Because I remember this administration signed treaties with the Women Charter, with doctors, with teachers, name it. Today, doctors have given a strike notice, and soon our hospitals will be empty. You'll be gone to the hospital and you don't see any doctor. And everyone is realizing that we were hoodwinked and we were cheated. So it is high time we don't just go to the streets and come back. We need to compel this administration to implement to the latter everything that they promised Kenyans, because we must see the value for our votes. People woke up very early in the morning. I remember at dawn, by Satisa, 3 o'clock in the morning, the lines were already long, and people were really yearning for change, and they voted. But it seems we don't see any value for our vote. So we must compel this government. You see, even in the constitution, it is mentioned very clearly that the power belongs to the people. Even the president is only exercising powers that have been donated to him by the people. Be it members of parliament, they represent the people. And so the people have got the power in their hands to wake up, go to the streets, go to State House, if it means going to Karen and knocking the doors so that Babaricho can open, and we present our case and tell him we are tired of this administration, so be it. Number two, if he is unable to rule, there are Kenyans who are ready and able to rule, because I personally believe that leadership is a calling. You don't just present yourself for a position in leadership for the sake of it. There are leaders who will present themselves because they see an opportunity to enrich themselves as they eat from the coffers, from the sweat of the common man. But there are those leaders who will present themselves because they want to see their subjects growing economically and even socially. So if he cannot implement, if this administration cannot implement what they promised Kenyans, then the administration can vacate office so that we have another administration. People can go to the polls. My worry is only one. We will continue lamenting and going to the streets. But when the opposition leader and the Zimio go to the streets and they ask this administration to lower the cost of living, to vacate office, then the same leaders whom you are lamenting about will come out and they will be telling you that Raila Amolo Odinga wants to topple this government, yet people are suffering. Ladies and gentlemen, all over the world, where there have been change, common men, the citizens have always decided on one ground that we want to wake up and compel the government to do something. And this is the reason why I'm saying that I have got no sympathy for anyone who voted along a tribal line. If there are people who voted in William Ruto because they thought the economic model could work, it's okay. But from the word go, from the onset, it was very clear that we were dealing with a kind of a cheating leadership. And this is what we see. The grace period is over, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to do something. And I think this is the reason why Raila Odinga is sitting back, because he wants the people to see for themselves. The other day, Seth Panyako lamented about this government. I also had Ole Sapit lamenting about the government. So it seems that people are soon realizing that Raila was right. And Uhuru Kenyatta had also warned them about this because he had worked closely with the president of today, but we didn't listen. It is time that we reap what we sow. But it is very unfortunate that even if people will be presented with an opportunity to vote today, those who are on the streets protesting about the high cost of living will still vote for their man. And if we don't cure this disease of voting our people into office, whether they are thieves, we say they are our thieves, we will still languish in poverty, abject poverty. And so, ladies and gentlemen, apart from just talking, apart from just going to the streets, let us wake up. Let us join hands with those people who want change. Let us go along that trajectory, and I know if we unite together, we will achieve what we want.